Okay, so the differences between RUN and CMD in Dockerfile. Now, first thing I should mention, this video is not for total beginners. This shouldn't be the first video that you are watching about Docker. We do have some prerequisites, which are, you should know what is Docker. You should know what are containers. And you should know what Docker is in general. Docker, basically. What your position should be is you maybe have gone through some of the classes of Docker. Now you are confused, or maybe you are just wondering key differences between RUN and CMD in Dockerfile that we write usually. Now, let's get started. First thing that I really want to mention is I've seen many people call this as RUN command and CMD command, which you obviously can do, no one will stop you, but the actual way to address this keywords is as instruction, RUN instruction and CMD instruction. Why is that? First reason is in the documentation of Docker itself, the addresses as instruction, CMD instruction and RUN instruction. So that's the first reason. And the second reason that I think is CMD itself stands for command. So if you call it CMD command, it creates a bit of conflict, I guess. However, that was no one asked for kind of thing. So the first difference between RUN instruction and CMD instruction is gets executed. RUN instruction gets executed at the build step or when the image is getting built, and CMD instruction gets executed at the start step or when the container getting started. Now, what does that mean? See, how our Dockerfile works, or Docker in general works, is we write a Dockerfile with many instructions. Then, using that Dockerfile, we create or build an image by using the Docker build command, and from that image, if we run, or mentioning that image's name, if we run the command docker run, it will start a container, right? We obviously know that. Now, when this run instruction will get executed is in this phase, when we run this docker build command, and where the CMD instruction will get executed is in this phase, where we run docker run, right? So run will not get executed here and CMD will not get executed here. And you also can verify it by running a simple Docker file. Maybe if I can give you an example from the documentation itself. Here, if you run this Docker file, or if you build an image from this and then run the container, you will see that when your image is getting built, this line of code is getting executed, but not this one. And when after building in your image, when your container is getting started, this line of code is getting executed, not this one. You can verify that. I'll not show you that. However, so there goes the first one. Now, the second difference between RUN and CMD is RUN instruction creates a new layer and CMD instruction does not. What does that mean by creating a new layer? In case you don't know, Docker works in layers. It creates different layers inside our image so that internally it can manage all the caching and stuff, and it also can download or pull the image from the internet really easily or really efficiently. Now, whenever we use the run instruction inside our Docker file, while building the image, it will create a new layer at that step. Now, you can ask me that, okay, that's good. Now, when should I create a new layer? Because I obviously have controls over when I will write the run instruction. So, why I should create a new layer? Every time you want to do a big task, or a heavy lifting. For example, installing the dependencies, installing the packages, you should create a new layer on that step so that the caching mechanism can work really fine. So that internally, Docker can pull this image really easily. Maybe, for example, if you have a node project, in node project, usually we have a package.json file. Inside of that file, we have some dependencies that we use in our app. So we can maybe install that by npm install or yarn add, whatever you prefer. So you should do that step in a new layer. You should create a new layer for that, which means you should run those commands using the run instruction. Okay. And if you whatever you run or whatever you write in CMD, that obviously does not create a new layer. Why is that? Because CMD does not run, just like I mentioned before, it does not run when we build the image, and layers gets created while building an image. That's why it does not create a layer. Okay, that goes good. What's the next one? Run instruction. One Dockerfile can have multiple run instructions. For example, do they have it here? No, but I don't think so. Yeah, they do not have it. But let's say, okay, for example, if you are working on a React app, I don't know if you're familiar with that. Okay, I don't know what example I should get, but just imagine you have to do multiple heavy liftings. You can have this scenarios. I'm so much of a JavaScript guy, so it's all JavaScript examples that popping in my head, but I want to give that. Maybe you are not from the JavaScript world. However, there can be many heavy lifting that you have to do while building your image. Maybe you want to install some packages, you want to build the whole app or you want to create an executable file. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that was a bad example. But you can have scenarios where you want to do many heavy liftings while building the image. That's why you can do multiple run instructions in one Dockerfile. But in case of CMD, you can do only one. You can run only one CMD instruction in one Dockerfile. Now you can ask me that, yeah, I obviously can write multiple CMDs. No one will stop me. Yes, no one will stop you. But while running your container, or while starting your container, Docker will take only the last CMD you have written, the last one. All the CMD commands, CMD instructions above that will be ignored, will get ignored by Docker. So you can write only one CMD instruction in one Dockerfile. Okay, got it? Now the next one, maybe not so much interesting to you, but I thought I should mention that, which is the fourth one, syntax. Why I highlighted it in red? The reason is many people think that there are two syntaxes for run instruction and the CMD instruction, which is pretty much, we can see that which can pretty much see in here that the run instruction is written like this, like literal text, and the CMD instruction is written inside the not the curly braces, but the square braces, like this, or like arrays in JavaScript. People usually think that these are two different syntaxes of run and CMD instruction, which is not so much true. You can write run instruction in this syntax. You can write the CMD instruction in this syntax as well. What's the proof? Here. It simply says It's basically two forms of writing any instruction. This one is called the shell form that you can see here, and this one is called the execution or the exec form. So where it says the run instruction will execute any command. Okay, the edit layer is used. Okay, run has two forms, means you can write it in two form, in shell form and execution form. You can write both. For CMD as well, you can specify CMD instruction using shell or exec command. Means just like this, you can write CMD commands as well, CMD instructions as well. So this is the point that I really wanted to mention. I don't know if it was something new to anyone, any of you. I thought I should mention that. So this is the basic 4 points, or 4 basic, not 4, but 3 basic differences that you should know about run and CMD instruction, and one key point about this syntax thing that you should know about run and CMD. That was pretty much it. Thank you. Go code.